We are live. Tell your friends you're listening to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Conlon,
And I'm Nathan.
and we have another very special episode. We have the 1993 movie Cliffhanger. Nathan, do you have a history with Cliffhanger?
Yeah, this is one of the movies from my working night shift video store rentals
Okay.
era, where you rented a bunch of movies for the week before work, and then you worked all night and then watched movies all day.
Yeah.
So this was one because I would have been in high school when this came out in theaters, so I didn't see it in the theater.
Okay.
It was something I picked up in the video store, and I remember liking it. I didn't know much. I mean, I remember I heard about it when it came out because it actually got some positive reviews.
Oh yeah, this is a huge movie. I think it was one of the top movies of the year. So
And I remember Sylvester Stallone was looking for kind of a rehab in his career at that point
yeah, yeah.
because he had a lot of misses. So everyone was like, "Yeah, this is actually a good movie." And so I remember watching it on rental at home, or
Yeah, this is a year after Stop Where My Mom Will Shoot. So
yeah, yeah,
um, so yeah, directors. Well, yeah, I think I've seen bits and pieces of this in on cable, so I've never watched it all the way through. And then like, there's a spoof in the second Ace Ventura movie of like the opening scene of this movie. So it's like I was aware of that scene because it's been spoofed many times. So
yeah.
so I basically only knew of this through like cultural osmosis. So. Basically we picked it up because we did a Rennie Harlan movie last week, and it's like, yeah, we better do that one. I think that's one of his best movies.
Yeah,
Because
this
usually,
was kind of Apex Rennie Harlan. 'Cause this was right after Die Hard 2, I believe.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah. Which I like. Yeah, I explained last week. Like, I didn't like Die Hard 2 compared to the other ones because I thought it was dumber. It's like still like a good premise and a good cast, but this might be like one of really like. There's still dumb stuff in this movie, but this might be the least dumb Rennie Harlan movie.
yeah, probably.
It's like the robbers make no sense whatsoever, like, and sort of like a background and like what do they plan to get out of this, and like how they function is like, but it is just like standard, evil, robber stuff. Whereas like everybody else in the movie seems like a real person. So, um, so yeah, it came out May 28th, 1993. So yeah, just yeah, May's around the summer blockbuster thing. So
Yeah,
it is a rated R movie, which I guess I didn't expect. So. It doesn't seem that violent or necessary. Well, I guess it's kind of no, it's pretty violent. I guess There's a
yeah,
lot of exploding chests going on here.
yeah. There's impalement,
So
intense scenes of falling and dying.
Director is Rennie Harlan. Cinematographer is Alex Thompson. Was like he's like an old timey kind of cinematographer. He's did the pre. His last movie was The Saint. He did.
The Demolition Man too, and
Yeah.
Alien 3. Cinematographer on that.
Or is it Death the right guy? Yeah, the right guy. He's like the original Casino Royale. Oh wait, hold on. Like I have to. Apparently, he has more electrical stuff than cinematographer stuff in his story. So, oh yeah, Executive Decision. Yeah, it's definitely a '90s action movie. Yeah, Demolition Man. So yeah, that's the last movie we saw him in. Some crazy. Oh yeah, Raw Deal and Legend. We did Legend. So that's
Yeah,
a part
he's
of this.
this is apparently a guy who works in. If you're doing things in Europe, which is they did all the principal photography and stuff in Europe, this is the guy that's around.
Okay.
Because this movie was mostly shot in Italy.
Really? Okay.
That
I
was
guess.
supposed to be in Colorado. All those
Oh.
mountains here in Italy.
Oh. Okay. Okay. It's for the mountain stuff they did in Italy. Okay, I guess it makes sense. And maybe it was just cheaper to shoot. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. It made a lot more money in Europe than it did here, so it seems
Really? Okay.
popular. Huh. Yeah, I guess a lot of the cast was known in other places.
Huh. Okay.
Because everyone knows who Sylvester Stallone is John Lithgow's he's like both sides because he's been in like BBC stuff before, so he's like known on both sides. I forgot Michael Rooker was in this. This is like a
Yeah.
very youthful Michael Rooker, um, and then some of the bad guys and stuff like
Oh
the
yeah, there's a ton of character actors in this movie. What is it? What's like the treasury guy? Is he like the psychologist in like Terminator? Oh no no no.
they look alike. You've seen this guy. What is his name? His name's Rex Lynn, and
Yeah.
he's like a major character actor. He always plays that kind of bald, angry guy. Because he was
Oh
in
yeah. No.
Present Danger. He was the cop.
What was that guy? And then there's like the like it was like the head of the Treasury Department.
Oh, Paul Winfield.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the guy, the captain of the Reliant. Yeah,
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, that's where I recognize him from. Okay.
yeah. No, I thought you meant the Treasury agent, the bald-headed.
Yeah, there's like 3 Treasury agents, and there's also there's the other guy who's a Treasury agent. He's just there, but he's like a guy,
Yeah, he's a well-known character actor. I know who you're talking about.
and he does a ton of TV too. He's like always like the like the slarmy bureaucrat in like every hospital drama and stuff like that. So, yeah, a lot of standard people in this movie. Although, and there was like I think there was the one guy's name was just Leon, and he was like in Cool Runnings. I think he plays a character called Canet. So,
Oh yeah,
um, but yeah, like half the robber guys are just like, here's here's like a stunt man, give him a gun and we'll kill him in like the next 5 minutes because life is not valued in this movie. So
oh.
at least not by the robbers. Like life is very valued by the main character. So
The bad guys are like really cartoonishly bad.
yes. It was written by Michael France and Sylvester Stallone, and there's like a bunch of different story by creds and stuff like that. I imagine Sylvester Stallone like was writing this on the go, and they just gave him the writing credit. But
I think he did some tuning of dialogue and stuff.
yes,
Changed elements of the story
because he does that a lot. But he also like he is a decent writer, and he has good and bad instincts for it. And so sometimes it's hard to trust him after he's exhibited bad instincts for a long time.
I think if Sylvester Stone's your lead and he wants to tune dialogue, cool. But if he's like, "Hey, we're right on this movie," it's like, are you starring in it or investing your own money in it? No. It's like, oh yeah, we got lots of writers out there. The guy who wrote this principal writer in this, so is also the guy who wrote Goldeneye. So
well, he's got a story by credit on Goldeneye. At least that says here. But let me see.
Oh, okay.
Let me click on Goldeneye and see if these.
Well, it's because here it says he wrote the screenplay. So
Oh, okay. Well, I was on. Well, see, yeah. When I click on Goldeneye, it says screenplay is Jeffrey Kane and Bruce Fairstein, but
okay.
Michael France has a story by cred. Which again, I don't know what that means. Like, did you write a paragraph on a napkin and now you get a story by cred? Like, how much does that pay? Like, is that governed by the WGA? Like, I have no idea. So, but he did write the Ang Lee Hulk movie, and he wrote the oh crap, what's that guy's name? The Punisher movie with the Thomas Jane Punisher movie.
Okay.
And he wrote the 2005 Fantastic Four, so he's written a lot of big budgeted movies. So there's that. So this might be his best written movie. So it also seems to be his first.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Oh, apparently he died in 2013. So okay, that makes sense. Yeah, there's a Carolco picture, so it's so. At least I don't know. It didn't look like garbage. I watched it on Amazon, but I don't know how much they're doing with this. But I do remember this was a thing at the time, and then I just have not seen it until now. At least didn't go all in on it. So, oh yeah, so yeah, it says and Sylvester Stallone, not the ampersand, so they did write it separately, but he got the credit on it anyways. Which Sylvester Stallone, like technically, and a Oscar-nominated writer, or did he win an Oscar for Rocky? I can't remember. Or did he just get nominated a bunch? No, I think he just got nominated.
Yeah, I think he got nominated.
So. Oh, let's type that in. Does still Sylvester Stallone have an
He was
Oscar?
nominated for 3 Academy Awards. Um, yeah, I don't think he won anything.
Okay. Apparently, he has a movie called Oscar, which doesn't help.
That confuses the shit out of it.
Apparently, he has 3 nominations and no wins, so which makes sense. He's kind of a he makes you know popcorn adventure movies. So
Yeah, he makes.
and cast is Sylvester Stallone, John Lithgow, and Michael Rooker, and then like it will pop into a bunch of other people. Actually,
Yes.
we might have mentioned all of them.
I remember she was also like she was like on Northern Exposure,
Yeah, yeah.
which was a huge show.
Yeah,
And
because it's like she seems familiar. What do I know her from? I was like, oh yeah, Northern Exposure. So.
yeah, and they thought like, oh yeah, she's gonna be the next it girl in Hollywood, and then no.
Well, I mean, you get,
She's on Fox News talking about the Constitution. It's like, oh, okay, I see things have settled.
I mean, she did like she did 100 episodes of Northern Exposure, so she had to get paid. So
Oh yeah.
um,
I just thought it was weird. It's like, whatever happened to her? And
yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, now she's like talking about God and the Constitution on Fox News. It's like, all right, that's always an interesting turn. People, it's a turn that more people think than you take than you think.
Is that to take power away from the Constitution or to give power to the Constitution?
Well, I mean, it's Fox News, so it's always kind of like, hey, if you buy the narrative that they're selling, this is good stuff. But if you don't, then it's like, well, this is scary and sad. Or if you're just outside of it all and you're like, this is all weird.
Well, if you mentioned Fox News, the Constitution, and God, I imagine that's setting fire to the Constitution as the result of that. So,
Well, like I said, there's a narrative power that some of that has for certain people, where people that are just unchallenged by any cognitive dissonance at all. It's like, yes, here are the good people, and I'm with them. It's like, right, no questions asked. Okay, cool. Some people need that though.
we're the good people. Trust us implicitly, without judgment or interruption. Um, So yeah, I guess we'll get into it. We got Act One, which is really this is like the what do you call it, prologue? Or
Yeah,
no, not prologue. Yeah, prologue. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's prologue and then epilogue is the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, good. So because I'm getting confused with like pro and pre, like proceed and precede, and that's where I'm confusing myself. So, we a rescue chopper flies amongst the mountains. And we get Gabe Walker, played by Sylvester Stallone, is like climbing under an overhang, which looks like really complicated and dangerous. So, I mean, he's got stuff like, he's got like one of those pitons or whatever, the spikes nailed into the wall, so he's climbing around on that. But he looks all big and strong in this movie. But maybe that's actually like climbers don't look like bodybuilders for like reasons because weight's a very considerate thing there. You need that.
Able to pull your entire body weight up with your 2 fingers doesn't mean you can't look like the Terminator.
Yeah, you gotta have that like lean muscle mass where you can, and crazy grip strength where it's like you'll just look like a skinny guy, but then you can, throw around 190 pounds like it's nothing. You ever see those gym videos where that guy acts like he's a janitor and he like just casually lifts like 600 pounds of weight, like all next to these bodybuilder guys, and they're like,
yeah. He just walks away, and these guys try to stop him. Like, how did you do that?
I think he's some crazy Russian guy who found out some torturous process to get the strongest, leanest muscles you can, or something like that.
Oh, it's it's called what do you call that? There's some crazy. It's a chimpanzee strength is essentially what they call it.
Okay.
If you ever see chimps, they're not jacked. They can rip a man to pieces. but they're all like lean muscles, and it also has to do with how their arms connect to their
Yeah,
body.
that the way their ligaments are attached to their
Yeah,
the like what the upper arm and the forearm
yeah,
gives a more mechanical advantage to like the kind of strength they have. So
yeah. But also their fine motor skills are horrendous. Like
yeah.
if they had to do anything delicate, like play a piano, it's like nope. But they can rip your head completely off your body. Problem.
The chopper finds red smoke being set off. A couple of rock climbers are calling for help. It's one of them's Hal Tucker and Michael Rooker, which he's taken his girlfriend out on a date to climb a mountain.
Yes.
Um, which here like it doesn't make you don't know. Like I'm guessing Hal is a part of the rescue department this whole time. He didn't like become it after this or anything like that.
Yeah, it seems like they were coworkers
Okay.
because they were joshing each other like oh yeah you did it again, you're a real hero, and taking
Okay.
somebody up on this mountain. um
I wasn't sure because the guy at first like, oh yeah, of course Hal works for the department, but when you first see him, he's just like in civilian clothes climbing a mountain. So it's like maybe he's not, but and then it's not till like half an hour later where he's got like a uniform on. It's like oh okay, that's what's going on there. But I don't know. It's like I don't know. That was just a misconstrued on my part because this script is actually pretty cleanly written, where it's like
yeah,
everything's pretty generic and laid out pretty well in a way where it's like what you expect to happen happens, and then but it's like you have the highs and lows and do all the standard script work, so it is pretty well done for what that is. um and you have the was it standard for like the hero's journey where like the hero refuses the call and then and then comes to it anyway. So although here it's an interesting hole to put the character in at the front. It is an interesting like he has to recover from this. It's really his guilt and not really that he really did anything wrong. It's just like, and really it's like Hal being mad at him is like you can understand the emotions, but like the logistics of it is like how is this his fault? So,
well, and the emotional impact though is like everyone gets to watch her die.
yeah.
It's not like, oh, you were taking my girlfriend home and you got in a car wreck or she died. And it's like, no, everyone sees her die.
Yeah. Um, we have Jess, the helicopter pilot, played by Janine Turner, which we were just talking about her. She was in, yeah, most famous for probably Northern Exposure. Pops up in a bunch of other things too. The helicopter lowers a rescue line, and then Gabe crawled up to them separately, climbed up to them because we show him climbing in. And I have like really cool, interesting. I think it's just a composite, but we have the part where like the helicopter's underneath them,
Yeah.
and they're basically like, "Oh, you can just fall into those helicopter blades," which pretty sure is just composite of two shots, but it did look impressive. It's like, yeah, that's that's interesting. There's a lot of very like complicated photography or shooting helicopter stuff and people on mountains and stuff like that. And you can tell there's a bunch of like blue screen stuff too, but it's done pretty well. So it is a '90s movie. So
Yeah.
um, so yeah, Gabe pounds his baton into the mountain, and then they hook up the rescue line to the helicopter. Then they gotta go land the helicopter like across the lay to like tighten the line, so they're gonna like zip line across to get into the rescue chopper. So that's what's going on here. Which I'm not sure if this is how you do it, or this is just a great way to introduce like this movie. So, um, uh, so yeah, Hal goes across first. He kind of like falls hard on the line, which I'm not sure if that's like creates a problem later on. I don't think so. Because he has like you see his knee is wrapped up, so like he like sprained a knee or something like that. You don't know exactly what's going on. It's just like he needed help, so they called for help. They rescued him. Sarah gets sent across next. She's doing hand over hand like slowly, and then like Gabe is trying to tell her like, yeah, you're doing a good job. And then they're like one of the clasps like it starts to break, which then also undoes all the like the nylon looping and stuff like that on her like what do you call it, on her harness, and so like
Yeah.
this all gets undone, and so she basically falls out of her harness, but she's able to grab onto the harness that's hooked into the zip line wheel or whatever, but then there's also a bit of that that's also like falling apart. Like,
It's like an aluminum buckle that's
yeah.
getting ready to slowly fail.
Which it looks really nice. You can see like the paint like flakes off as the metal like undone. So this is probably like candy or something like that they're using here, but it looks really well for what it's doing. It's like,
Yeah, it
uh,
definitely conveys what's about to happen.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, she's only yeah. She had like a teddy bear in her backpack. We show that falling to the ground. It's like it's like yeah, this is the stakes of this. Um, and then Gabe makes his way over to get her, which then Hal's kind of like saying like there's the line's not meant for the weight of two people.
Yeah.
So that's like, which I don't ever mean anything to me. I don't know. It's like, it's like I don't know if that's true or not. Like, because like the outcome if he just did nothing is she's still dead, but nobody's reaching to grab her, and there isn't two people on the line. So I don't know. Like, but this is a movie. We have to have him go out and try and fail. So, um. So yeah, the strap she's holding onto gives way, and then Gabe is basically able to grab her out of midair, and so he's just holding on to her with one arm, which she's trying to climb up him, but she can't. And then her like glove that he's like holding onto her hand starts to slip through, and then her hand slips off to the glove, and then she just falls screaming to her death. And
Yes.
then Hal has an accusatory look at Gabe, and then we just fade out. So it's like the prologue. It's like way to put your main characters in a hole. So, but it does a lot. It just he's like it shows like, hey, these are normally like fun characters. They have a good time. They go out. They have these very exclusive skills that they seem to be the best at. They're fallible. You give like your main character like he had this thing he can't let go. Yeah, and guilt him, and then you have like a former friend hates him for it, and then you have Jesse also hates him for it, but hates him for like him leaving because of it. So like it handles a lot of things, and it's like I don't know how long. It's like a 7-minute scene or something like that. So,
Yeah, it establishes a lot very quickly.
yeah, so it's very very good like quick screenwriting here. We just established a lot of things. So. Then we cut to United States Treasury, Denver, Colorado. 8 months later, we're at the Denver Mint. We see a bunch of money counting machines, and they load up a bunch of like special tech cases that hold the money. And apparently, these are, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm sure you did the research on this, Nate. These are uncirculated bills. They're like $1,000 bills that are only used for international banking exchange.
Yeah, I heard. What did I find out about these? It was like something that happened and it went extinct almost immediately
Okay.
because like e-transfer and stuff
Yeah.
is like kind of replaced a lot of that.
Yeah. But I didn't know if at this time it was something that could have been still in use at the time. Like this would make no sense now, but maybe then. I don't know.
Yeah, as far as I know, they quit making them in like
Oh, so these are things that were made at some point.
yeah, they were made until like the 1930s,
Okay.
until like electronic banking stuff started.
Okay.
I guess if you have them, they will still honor them as being worth $1,000.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, these were not something that was like it was basically a MacGuffin for this movie.
But I mean, here they the mechanism they described is that these aren't meant for like normal circulation. These are purely for like
Yeah,
bank transfers.
Yeah.
And so like you couldn't use them otherwise, or you would be like handcuffed or whatever in some way. So.
Yeah, essentially it was a movie MacGuffin to make a ridiculous amount of money be transportable.
Yes, that makes sense.
It's like if $100 million in $100 bills, I forget what they said it would weigh, it'd be like 2,500 pounds. Or, yeah. No one man could or group of men could carry them. And they also say the Denver Mint only does coins, so they.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would be a lot of coins. Yeah, stuff like that is. I forget. There's a whole rabbit hole you can go down about why those ever existed and why like bonds and electronic banking sort of replaced that. But you can only have electronic banking in like tier 1 countries. So if you're dealing with other countries, you would have like paid money certificates or whatever, but they were literally created only for one particular transaction.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And the only reason they were made that way is so that they couldn't be stolen, because it'd be like, we're sending our gold to
It's like a contract. It's coming from this person. It has to go to this person. That's the only thing that it can exist between. So
Yeah, because remember when they were talking about like they took the Russian banking system out of the international credit system
yeah,
because of invading Ukraine. Okay, the reason that's devastating now is Russia has to bank like a third world country. Have to physically transport gold, materials of value, or single use financial devices. No one will honor anything. No one in the Western world now will honor anything from a Russian bank like that.
yeah.
So now they're back to like gold and diamonds and silver and stuff. Just like a third world. So they are literally like upper Volta with nuclear weapons again. Like they've made themselves irrelevant. But then they get in this banking commune with like China, South Africa, and Iran, where
Yeah.
it's we are our own system and currency, and it's like yeah, and everyone's knocking down the door to deal with you guys because it's yeah, give my billions to China. What could go wrong? Yeah, so yeah, that's when we took Russia out of that system. That essentially you can't do things like this now.
Okay.
You have to like move gold around like a dictator in a banana republic.
But yeah, they have this air money transport, so it's basically like yeah, they don't do armored trucks because you can't hijack a plane, and then that's the plot of the movies. You do that, so um, I don't. Yeah, because usually like a plane jacking, that's on the ground, right? But if you know of
Well,
real
you
life
have
air jacking
on
situation,
the plane with weapons to take the cockpit and make the pilot like land somewhere. And then it's like, oh, then it becomes we trade hostages for fuel, and then we want to fly to, some country. We want to fly to Belize or whatever with money, and but it never works out because then the Mossad storms the plane.
yeah.
So yeah, but to hijack a plane.
But the air-to-air hijacking is crazy. I'm not sure if it's. I mean, it's probably been attempted or stuff, but I don't know.
The
But I
only
mean, there's this movie. There's Executive Decision does it, and the best that does it is in Dark Knight Rises.
Don't be afraid, brother. We must leave one behind. You talking into this? Yeah, they just rip the wings off the plane.
Yeah.
And pull it up with cables. Yeah. DB Cooper came the closest to like, I'm gonna, hijack a plane, and then I'm gonna walk out the back with the money you gave me once it takes off again.
Yeah. But you're not like I'm chasing another plane with a plane.
No, yeah, I don't think anyone's done that. Well, the stunt that they perform here had the Guinness Book of World Records for the most expensive stunt ever performed at that time because they had to pay the stunt guy $1 million.
Yeah.
One because some guy actually did go from one
yeah.
to another, and he was the highest paid stuntman in history at that point. Because they said, "Can you do that?" And it's like probably, but it's gonna cost. You're gonna have to you're gonna pay to set it up. And you're going to pay for all the insurance to get 2 planes, and you're going to pay me $1 million to do shit. So I'm sure like the Navy SEALs or somebody could do this, but I've never heard.
I don't know that getting it out of the air seems like so improbable and too many things can go wrong. You just find its destination and pick up there. So that seems the most likely. But the most exciting thing to do is to grab it in midair.
Well, because it's unthinkable.
Yes.
There's no provisions for this. You have to have the criteria of a hijacking where you got a guy on board, got a bomb. They got both of those angles covered. And then it's like, oh, and you have to find lunatics. Oh, and by the way, we're gonna hook 2 planes together with a steel cable. Like nothing could go wrong.
I guess they also did that in Air Force One as well. So
yeah. There's always, I'm sure there's like, if there's a plan, somebody's done it. I mean, somebody figured out how to break into a submarine while it was underway. Supposedly, that capability exists. It's like, okay, wow, how does that work?
So yeah, these are a bunch of Treasury agents. So like that's an interesting. And then I guess then they have like a mention of like this. There's like an FBI agent that says like, yeah, come on board, which is a good like misdirect because they make the FBI agent seem very sketchy, and then like he's the only good guy in the whole situation. So
yeah. No, the other guys are good too. They they believe their leader is like. It's like, oh, we're going to believe the guy we've worked with for 20 years, not you, strange-o, that just showed up and even started making accusations. So. Yeah,
One of the guys that, well, I guess he gets portrayed, was it, oh, it's like McGillis or something like that. He's great.
yeah.
Like we did, like I'm not sure if we had him in a movie recently, but he was in a great episode of Miami Vice where he's like, he had like the AI computer and stuff like that, and it's like, is he crazy? Because everything he's saying is coming true, and then it turns out he's just crazy, but also he has some truth to him. So it's like, oh, this is complicated. So
He was an insane prophet.
yeah,
It's like he wasn't the coherent prophet. He was the random prophet, which most prophets are, because if someone got it right all the time, that person would be known as God. So
yeah.
it's well, that haven't found him yet.
But the actor's great, and it's weird that he's just like cannon fodder in this movie. I think he has like one line and dies.
Yeah,
But that's good sometimes. Like, it's like, hey, I know that guy, and then if he gets killed out of nowhere, that's a big surprise.
yeah. It's like, oh, this guy's going to play a role clearly because I recognize this guy from
Yes.
other stuff. And it's
Uh,
also probably a quick way for him to make $10,000.
yeah, yeah.
Or it's like, hey, if you're passing through, it's like, yeah, I'll make 10 grand.
I need some money for my divorce hearings.
Yeah. I've got my 9th divorce coming up.
I don't know if he was divorced or not. It's just
I have no
it's
idea.
an actor. They usually get divorced a lot. So. But the same thing kind of worked into Executive Decision as well, because it's like, oh, it's this two-hander. It's like it's Kurt Russell and it's Sylvester Stallone. Like, he Stallone's the big action guy, and then Kurt Russell's more like a also an action guy, but more of a cerebral character in this movie. And like, they're gonna be doing this together, and then Sylvester Stallone's like dead like 15 minutes into the movie. It's like, oh, that's a big surprise.
Yeah.
And then
See
you
that coming.
and that movie like has Halle Berry in it, and it has like John Leguizamo as one of like the Navy SEAL guys and stuff like that. It's a lot of like people out of like you don't remember that movie being in that movie, because I don't remember it being good, but there's a lot of cool stuff in that movie. So,
Yeah, no, Executive Decision it's one of those movies that's like it's better than it you would expect better from the cast,
yeah,
but it's actually better in a different way. It's like it's such a involved story with so many misdirects.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, this was stupid and fun.
We cut to Gabe is driving up the mountain, and like I wrote skiers, but I guess they're what do you call them, base jumpers or free jumpers.
Yes.
They recognize him and says like, "Hey, he's back."
Like goofy stoner guys.
Yeah, yeah. They mentioned MTV, man. They say man a lot. Yeah. They talk about working a job in Denver, and that being like that's like, yeah, you couldn't catch me like working a job, man. It's like, yeah, how can you afford the parachute equipment? Like,
Trust fund.
yeah, I guess, yeah. Gabe surprises Jess while she's brushing a horse, and she's angry at him for like leaving his job, which I guess I didn't realize that they were married, and so he just like, I'm gonna go to Denver. Like, you coming with? And she's like, no, and that's where things were left off. So they are married, right? That's what's
It says girlfriend in my notes.
okay. All right.
I don't think so, because he seems a guy who takes responsibility seriously.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't be like, I'm gonna leave my wife now and go somewhere else.
But he is here to gather his things, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess this was his house, and then she just took it over when he was gone. So it's
They
weird.
could have been living in sin. Who knows?
But yeah, she has a great line here. She says, "Why can't you just believe that you did everything you could?" So that's his whole character problem. So he's just far too guilty about what happened with Sarah. Says he came back for Jesse to come back with him to Denver, but she says no, and so otherwise he'll just grab his things and go. We cut to the money flight is in the air. The new guy seems suspicious. I wrote he spots another plane in the air, but he actually doesn't. He like they have him look out the window, and we see the plane, but he'll see it in like the next scene that we come back to. We come back to Jesse gets back to the ranger post. Or what are they rangers? Are these literally rescue rangers, or what are these people?
Believe so. Yes. They
Okay.
are rangers.
Okay. Yeah, here's where we see like Hal's in uniform, so he's a part of the rescue crew. We also have Frank, which I feel like I should know who Frank is. Like the only other thing I looked up on is like, oh, he's Gibbs' dad in NCIS. So I think that might have where I've seen him elsewhere. But he's probably showed up in a bunch of things. This guy's probably just a character actor or whatever. So
Yeah, everyone likes him.
yeah, he seems he's a likable character, probably a likable guy. So then we cut back to the plane. On the plane, the new guy points out the plane. He's like, yeah, it says something. It's like coming in. It's like some sort of like weird. I don't know if this is a Learjet or not. It seems like a private plane, but it's got like four jet engines on it.
Oh, he was John Boy's dad in the Waltons.
Oh, okay.
Ralph Waite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, that was his dad in the Waltons.
um. But yeah, the robber's plane here, Nathan. You know what this is? It's like a 4-engine like Learjet or something like that.
Oh, it's Lockheed Jetstar.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, it was one of the what's the deal on that?
Forget Lockheed makes commercial stuff too.
It was the first private jet.
Yeah.
So it was like because it started those date back to like 1958, 1961. They're still used.
Yeah.
But yeah, because they made them from 61 to 1980, and they made 200 of them.
Okay.
And the U.S. Air Force used them into the 90s.
Huh.
One of the things that killed them was very high fuel consumption and an incredibly noisy engine. They were precluded from certain airports.
Okay.
So they just got phased out by more efficient things.
Okay.
They were one of the fastest private planes until the Gulfstream started.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very cool, iconic looking planes, but they're actually like a lot of things in aviation. Like that's a lot older than what you realize. It's been around a long time. That's a 50-year-old aircraft. It's like, really? Yeah, yeah.
That's cutting edge. I mean, like, yeah, was the Blackbird was like made in like the 60s, wasn't it?
The SR-71, I was
Yeah.
in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That still looks like a cool modern looking plane until they find out it doesn't really have seals on it and just leaks fuel when it flies.
yeah, they designed the panels around it's like why these panels have huge gaps in them. It's like, well, that's how they're going to expand to that size once they're heated to like 1,000 degrees. It's like, oh, that's insane.
And it's weird that like Lockheed makes that, which is a crazy like engineering marvel and expensive, and then they also make like the U-2 plane, which is just like an engineering marvel, but it's also just like made like cost effectively in a way. So it's like...
Yes, the U-2 predates the SR-71 and is currently also in active service. 71's been retired since the 90s. Did I ever tell you the story about they were going to computerize the SR-71? And they said they could get all the inefficiencies out of it.
Yeah.
And during the Clinton years, and they were like, but satellites are more effective. But if our satellites got blinded for some reason, we could send in the SR-71.
Yeah.
And they actually could make it faster with stuff. And I mean, they said nothing could hit it. It's like it's
flying faster than a rocket.
Yeah, and they decided no, we'll stick with the satellites because I forget. There was some coefficient where we almost had a modernized SR-71, and we still might. But it was
it's unmanned.
Well, yeah, and they could do that too. The cost of heavy lift,
I mean, if you don't have to design a plane to keep a person alive, and you can make it go as fast as you want it to. So.
Yeah. But it was like the cost of lifting things into the upper atmosphere got really cheap for a while after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Okay.
Because all these companies, hey, we're a new industry out of Russia. It's we have all the old stock from People's Rocket Factory number 7. We can shoot things into orbit for like 1/10 of the cost. And then once all that stock's gone, it's like, well, now we're charging full price again, and everyone's like, yeah, no thanks. You know, they don't want it. So yeah, that was I know there was that one of the things that killed the SR-71 was it just got so cheap to launch satellites for a while. And then, now I don't know what the cost is now. I think it's actually cheaper now because everything's like way more efficient and Then they got the ones that they can catch on the way down
Yeah.
and reuse parts of them, and which, you know, that's kind of cool. Whenever you see them catch one of those rockets, it's like, that's crazy. And I don't care who's running the company or supposedly, that's still cool. Because when you see
Yeah,
that,
well, he's running it. He's not designing
he's
it.
it's not just his brain, but it is cool when you see that thing coming in and it's like, boom, boom, as everyone's like, what's that? It's like, oh, it's going multiple times the speed of sound. And it's like, oh, and it's going to slow. We can see it. And then all of a sudden, this second rocket fires. It just slows right down and they capture it. It's like, that's nuts. That's completely insane. But that's, yeah, one of the biggest problems with shooting stuff into space is you lose everything. And so they figured if they could recover some of it, then they would cut costs. I don't know how that's working out, but it's still cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if. Yeah, what are you putting on the reusable rocket? Has they done that yet? I have no idea. They've caught some, so.
I think they've reused some. I believe they have.
But have they put people on a reused rocket?
No, I don't think you can do that.
Okay.
I think they've done like satellites and stuff. I don't believe that's who's volunteering to ride the recycled rocket. Show of hands, please. God, please. We gotta keep these investors happy, folks.
Who will volunteer as tribute?
Yeah. I mean, they got people that supposedly have signed up for one-way trips to Mars.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see when the rubber meets the road on that. Who's climbing?
Yeah.
Capsule, like, see you later.
Yeah, it's probably someone signing a contract to get like, oh, this will get me attention, and then like, oh, I guess I'll back out of this.
Or they go up there and it's like, now I can kill everyone. You know, I don't know what's motivating people willing to do that. I mean, I'm not a people person, but I'm not willing to. I don't hate people so much. It's like, I'm going to go to a hostile environment where I'll probably die horribly. It's like, at least, you know, on Earth, I can just walk outside and, you know, not explode or whatever.
Yeah, I can't use nature to my advantage. I can only wait till everything fails.
Yeah. I'm waiting on any of a million complex systems, which the more complex they are, the more likely they are to fail.
Yeah, and how much?
I can't call anyone on the phone. Hey, can you help me fix this?
Yeah. How many spare parts do we bring with us? Because we're not making any when we get there.
Yeah, no thanks.
The new guy points out the plane, and then he pulls out an Uzi, and then he starts holding everybody up. And then there's a gunfight. We have Richard. What's his Travers? I think I just named him Richard throughout that because that's his first name, but they call him Travers throughout the rest of it, which I thought they were calling him Travis, and I'm like, that's not his name. So. But yeah, Richard Travers here is the Treasury agent that's betrayed everybody. So he kills all the agents, including like Bruce McGill. I think it's the guy's name.
Yeah, it is.
And then one of the pilots is also in it, and he just like brains the other pilot with a silenced pistol. And no bullets go through. None of these bullets go through the airplane, so everything works out.
I was expecting somebody getting sucked out a window or something. It's like, just government planes are bulletproof inside.
So yeah, the planes coordinate to steal money off the plane, which is just 3 suitcases that are giant and have like trackers and all that stuff. They're able to pop the tail cone off the back of the plane to drop a cable out, which I don't know if it's a real thing or not, but like they're doing it here. So
they had to pull 2 levers to make it happen. So I mean, it could be it's a maintenance feature. I don't know, or they made it for a movie. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, they're in the air with this thing, so I think I don't know, or these are just models. I don't know. Wait, no, because like then that one guy has to like go to the other plane, so these are like real planes. So, and that's the way he does it, is out through that back of the other plane. So Travers sets up a bomb on the plane, says they got like 5 minutes, and then Travers zip lines across, which we get introduced to Eric Quaylen. This is John Lithgow. He has a British accent. Which he does that a lot. You know, I think he's American, but he seems like, even especially like, I don't know, there's something like British with his delivery where you think he was not American, but he is American. So.
Oh no, that's he went to the London because he went to Harvard. So he already he's from New York and he went to Harvard. So he kind of already talks that way anyway.
Yeah.
He went to the London Academy of Drama on some kind of what do they call those? The culture exchange Fulbright scholarship.
Okay, all right.
So he went. He was basically he learned about his advanced acting. He learned about in the UK.
Okay.
So, because yeah, he's been on the BBC before as an actor,
Yeah.
just playing a character, and here he's doing a crazy British accent because I think he did say this was the funnest movie he ever made.
Yeah.
So he's like you're true, you're real, because someone they gave him a Razzie Award for like worst supporting actor. He was nominated for one. He's like, yeah, I did that on purpose. I was chewing up the scenery because that character is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gonna work with this guy, so it's like I might as well have fun with it.
I mean, it seems like he's trying to do like a Hans Gruber thing here, but even more psychotic. I mean, Hans Gruber is not psychotic; he's just violent. So
Yeah, well, Hans Gruber is like he's completely amoral. He doesn't love violence, but it's a tool he will use.
yes,
Like Quaylen is just psychotic. He's like,
Yeah.
I can't wait to hurt people. It's really about hurting people. Also, he was literally 1 week before shooting sub in
oh, okay,
Christopher Walken, who was supposed to be the main, which that would have been an interesting
yeah,
main bad guy. It's just like I'm just trying to imagine him and Stallone like fighting it out. It's like
yeah.
Walker, I want the money. I need that fucking money. But I guess Christopher Walken, there was a lot of things he didn't like about it, especially he didn't like heights.
Yeah.
It's like, my name's Christopher Walken, not Christopher Kleiman. I said that, but it would be cool if he did.
I mean, the robbers almost never climb. They're always like, they're going the long way to get to these like.
Well, he
these
also
cases.
didn't think he was, because John Lithgow was supposed to be his right-hand man,
Yeah.
and that's how he was introduced to the script, but he also didn't like the physical nature of the roles. Whereas John Lithgow says, I never get to do physical things.
Yeah.
And the only reason he said I'm believable, because he actually fights with Sylvester Stallone at the end. He's 6'4",
Okay.
and Sylvester Stallone's like 5'10".
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's the only way I seem, because I do seem physically menacing compared to him.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm not, because he's a lot stronger than me. Movie, it's like I never get to do things like that. So he thought it was really cool because he was so much. Because I even noticed it when they're filming. It's like, damn, John Lithgow's big. I didn't know he was that tall. It's like, holy crap. But yeah,
he's basically just standing next to a bunch of stuntmen. So.
He's a huge man. But yeah, in this movie, he deliberately like was totally over the top because he says, I never get to have fun.
Yeah.
So I've got to be serious or dour or about to cry or something, because here I just get to look crazy and act crazy.
So Eric wonders why
ubiquitous 90s always operator user friendly Desert Eagle.
yeah.
Bad guy in the 90s had a blacked out Desert Eagle, and it's like, go ahead and fire that at full strength.
Maybe he has a 357 version. I don't know.
That could be. I just know I fired one. I had a bad experience with one of those. I shot it once and set it down, and the guy's like, I loaded the magazine. I'm like, that's okay. I got what I needed out of it.
So yeah, Eric's wondering why Travers came over without the money, and Travers like he didn't trust him to if he sent the money across first, he probably would just cut him loose, which is exactly what he would do.
Character in this movie.
Yes.
Smartest guy in the movie.
Everybody wants to kill him, and he avoids death most of the movies.
Yeah.
Just by being like, you can't get rid of me. I'm the only one who knows this. So yeah, the pilot on the other, he starts sending the betrayal pilot starts sending cases across when the new Treasury guy is still alive, and he shoots the pilot up, and then that guy flies out of the plane. And then he starts firing on like the robbery jet and like does some real damage. I think kills one of the guys, or he's wounded, but then like
he kills the sniper that's trying to shoot at him.
Okay.
And then he basically shoots, because he shoots a panel that says hydraulics on it.
Yeah.
So then you see red fluid pouring out, and then he shoots through the cockpit and just like shatters the glass, so everyone has to put like their masks on.
Yeah.
So they don't asphyxiate. And of course, they're trying to fly a plane now that's losing its hydraulics, which, everything I've read, I've heard that's bad.
Yeah. That's
not good. And because Because I guess if a pump fails, you can isolate it and you have a backup system. But if it's just shot full of holes, all your fluid's draining out and there's no
Yeah.
backup. You can't control the
Yeah, it
planes.
depends on the plane. Some planes have backups if all the fluids are gone, but not. I think that's a requirement now, but that's at least that's how the Warthog works.
Well, the Warthog's designed to.
Yeah.
I think they just put a magnet in the center of it, and if it's blown to pieces, the magnet brings it back together. I don't understand how those things work, but I've seen like the battle.
I said, but essentially, there's like there's some kind of like wire system, and that's holding everything together in case all the hydraulics, and you basically just have to manhandle the stick or whatever. But you can do it. But that's in that case. I don't know about in every instance,
Yeah.
but yeah, there are several like backup systems because there was that flight where they lost all their hydraulics, but they still had aileron control, and so they just oh no, they just had engine control. They could control
Yeah,
the
that was the
throttle.
one in Iowa where they just turned it by increasing and decreasing the thrust. Like
Yes.
the plane would like move.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to just land it by just lowering their speed.
Yeah, yeah. They landed the plane, but they had no way. They didn't have hydraulics, so they couldn't apply brakes to the plane.
Yeah, it eventually just flipped over, but a lot more people lived than would have.
Yeah, yeah. No, like I think still like
So,
like 80 people died, but 100 people lived. So it's
yeah.
like when it was basically a guaranteed that everyone was going to die. And then that became a training regiment later on because no one had ever landed a plane like that before. Now that's how you have to do that. And they like the
Well,
first.
isn't that one of the things where like one of the people that designed the plane and worked for that airline who knew everything about those planes happened to be flying and they brought him up to the cockpit? And I know there was like
No, they got the designers, like they could call people and they had the designers on the line and they're basically like,
Oh,
"Yep, you're fucked."
I thought the guy was in the
No,
back.
remember that scene in Apollo 13 where they have all the people together and they like this is all the things you have together and they figure out a way to filter the air with the shit that's just lying around in the spacecraft. So think of that, but everyone's like, "We got nothing for you."
You got to land this plane with this, and they empty a bag with nothing in it. That's going to be your result then too.
Because the book where I read about it is about spontaneous, like what do they call it, like spontaneous, like creative thought or something like that. And so
Yeah.
like, it was just like a co-pilot that thought up the idea. Is like, well, I can control the engines, and and he landed the plane, and then afterwards, when they went into simulators and tried to have like basically like the best like pilots in the world try to recreate this, they all crashed and died. Like nobody landed the plane, and this is the first time it was ever attempted. It was never simulated before, and the guy does it in real life the first time it's ever attempted. So it's like,
I've heard of there was a Russian plane crash where they had and some people died, but it was one of those terrible situations and in a Russian aircraft, which means you're twice as screwed. And but yeah, they had the cockpit recording of like all the conversation, and their flight engineer was freaking out, and he was like, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. And the captain turned around and said, I'm trying to fly the plane, be quiet. And the guy kept saying stuff, and he's like, do you want to die like a woman? Shut up. And the guy shut up. And then he looked to the stewardess who was helping him or whatever, and says, you won't die like a woman today either, you'll die like a man with us. And so he had this weird, I don't know how it works in their language, but they did manage to land the plane, but the back end of it like broke off, and I forget what happened, but basically like, yeah, let's land it in the woods in Siberia. It was like a hopeless situation. He figured it out, but it was funny. It's like, just tell your people, it's like, don't die like a woman, and then they'll come back to themselves like, yes. But then he had to tell the one lady that was helping him, you won't die like a woman either, you'll die with the men today. But I think one of their engines like just broke off the plane.
Oh, okay.
So it threw the weight off and then just dumped all the fuel out. And they were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? But yeah, they made it. But it was you could only hear him yelling in Russian, but the translation was hilarious. Don't die like a woman, damn it.
But yeah, one of these guys gets shot, and they're like, "Hey, we should get him to hospital." And then like Eric's like, "No, just toss him out of the airplane."
Oh
So.
no, Eric says we should get him to the hospital as quickly as possible, and then just pushes him out of the airplane.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's even funny. Okay, make a joke out of it. That's right. That's his characters.
Yeah, well, that's a real psychopath. That's gonna just kill someone that way and say something funny, and then not laugh. Just
Yeah.
like, what? Don't you get it?
Yeah.
Irony.
It's like in RoboCop, where he's just like, "Can you fly, Bobby?" and he just throws him into the cop car.
Yeah,
Which I don't even think he was injured at that. I can't remember. It's
he
like-
got shot in the legs.
oh, okay.
Because that's when they swung the car out to the left and they threw the doors open and they weren't there, and then they came back and Murphy had both guns and he was firing and it hit, like, cut the guy right across.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh man, I can't make it. It's like, can you fly, Bobby? Laughing, not realizing, like, yeah, that could be me next.
The treasury plane blows up, but the jet still has like the cases attached to it. But they have to like cut it free and try to grab them later. Because now they have to figure out how they're gonna crash this plane in the mountains. So they Billy land the plane in like some snow. The plane like breaks apart and skids to the edge of a cliff, but doesn't blow up. So
Yeah, everything gets sheared off. The wings, the front of it's crushed in by trees.
yeah,
As they go along, it just bashes into trees, and then the back gets ripped off, but everyone's still in the front.
yeah, which and then only like the co-pilot dies from
Yeah,
something.
he basically gets like his skull crushed.
Yeah, a tree hits him or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the deaths in these are not like camera hold grisly, but there are some pretty grisly deaths in this movie.
Yeah.
I forgot it was R-rated.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, they do linger a little bit on, like, yeah, you're gonna get your head, literally your skull bashed in, and we're gonna show it.
Yeah. And there's like some big 90s squibs in this movie where it's like, chest burster is coming out after every bullet hit, but it's then the radical guys from before, they just free dive off the mountain just in a separate area. We see the pilots died in the crash. Then we have Travers and Eric are fighting, but they can't kill Travers because like he has the tracking device that has like some sort of like rotational like code system that only he knows.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how. So.
It's that weird 90s tech where everything is like polygonal.
Yeah.
Like it creates a vision of the world. Like, I'm getting a signal, it's up there, and it shows like a polygonal description of the mountain.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we could do that now, let alone then.
We can do that. Yeah. It's just polygons or wireframes of a mountain. So
yeah, but I don't think we could express it like it would be that accurate. It might say like, it might give you a map overlay and be like 10 miles or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would like zoom up and shit like that. There's a time in the 90s where that was all high tech, and you don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
Now somebody would pull out an iPad, it'd be a picture of the mountain. It's like, yeah, we just got to walk 10 miles. It's on Google. But yeah, back then everything was like, what was that called? Yeah, polygonal high tech.
Yeah.
That's what the internet was going to be with your consciousness. A bunch of polygons floating around.
They put out a call to the rescue crew, so they just want to like have a helicopter come out and they're gonna hijack the helicopter. So I have that being in Act 1, which is like, okay, this is a robbery movie, so very Die Hard. So, but it follows the formula well enough. So, so we have Act 2. Jesse's trying to get Gabe to help them out with the distress call. Hal's going out alone as there's a storm rolling in. Gabe doesn't want to work with Hal because he'll just be distracted by guilt, and then then she says, if you don't do this now, you're going to be stuck on that ledge for the rest of your life, which is a pretty good line. Probably something Sylvester Stallone came up with. I know there's a couple I'm not sure if that's a Sylvester Stallone line. I know like all the kind of like silly jokes in the movie that his character says are definitely something Sylvester Stallone came up with. So, but yeah, there's something with Hal's going up one side and Gabe's going to go up the other side of the mountain and basically kind of see who gets there first. We come back to the Denver Mint. They know the plane went down, and then the FBI show up and talk about Eric. saying like he's like some kind of international, like MI5 guy or something like that, or MI6, and then he turned evil at some point, special forces, all this stuff, but like he's the one guy who can sell this, because they're like, yeah, I don't know why anybody would rob this, like you can't do anything with it. It's like, yeah, but he has international connection, he can actually use this money. So and yeah, at this time, for having characters robbing like $100 million, that would be pretty crazy in the '90s. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much money, like I can't remember, like in how much money are they robbing in like Die Hard?
I'm not sure.
That was all like bearer bonds, wasn't it? So
Yeah, that was another one of those. Let me look that up.
but yeah, the FBI tell him like, yeah, that guy we sent out, yeah, we've been following him, and because like the one guy's like, yeah, we like, I don't think any of our people would betray us. I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh no, he betrayed. So, um, um, then we cut to Hal climbs up the mountain. He meets Gabe, who's just kind of waiting for him.
$640 million.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot. That'd be like a
So
billion.
that's more than this movie. So
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Hans Gruber was definitely going for it.
Hal comes up, meets Gabe. Hal's not happy to see him and tells him to leave. And then they argue, and then they fight a little bit. And Hal's about to push him off the mountain, and Gabe's like going to let him do it, but he's like, "Nah, it's not worth it." So now they have to like work together. But it's a good contentious relationship to have them, because then you have all the times where Hal's like going out of his way to try to save him, where it's like, oh, okay, like he does care for him in some weird way, even though he hates him. Like he hates him more than he hates the guys holding guns on him. But he wishes the guys with guns would be dead, and not necessarily, he doesn't wish Gabe to be dead. He just kind of wants him to suffer a little bit. So Gabe has some sort of like baton gun or whatever, where he just kind of shoots the the bolt into the mountain.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if this is a real thing. Like maybe, I don't know.
Possibly it isn't. Usually
Okay.
you use you hammer it in,
Yeah.
or you hammer it in. You spray epoxy around it.
Huh. Okay.
But something, what did they say? Something like that would you would run the risk of like blowing rock chips into your eyes, or
Right.
just like it would like bounce off and kill you. A good idea to use something like that. You could use something like that if you're like standing on ground. When you're hanging off the side of a mountain, you don't want to like hold something like that up. So they say, I guess that's not a real thing, but it's an interesting movie device.
You ever seen those like tents that where people like just like hang a tent on some pitons on the side of a mountain and sleep on them? That's crazy.
Yeah, good luck with that. I would not sleep at all. Is that a creaking I hear?
Yeah, as somebody who's like, it takes a lot of effort to do a pull up. I'm not going to be climbing anytime soon. So.
Oh, I got a thing with heights. And being in narrow spaces where I don't, because I've had a lifelong fascination with submarines and stuff. You'll never get me in one. I probably, because I wouldn't fit at this point, but yeah, but being at heights like that where there's not like stairs I can walk up and down, or just being up on top of tall things, I don't necessarily like it.
Yeah.
So you would never get me to. Yeah, I need to get in shape and make your midlife crisis becoming a rock climber. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I remember like there's a guy in a podcast talking about like he's working with some trainer. It's like, yeah, so what do you want to do? And he's like, you want to like, do some bodybuilding, you want to like build some upper body strength and all this stuff. And he's like, it's like, I kind of want to do rock climbing. And it's like, man, you just chose the hardest thing ever. It's like, because it's like, well, it's the hardest muscle to put on, because like the whole thing about it is you gotta be light and you gotta be strong, and it's the hardest thing to do. So.
Yeah.
We can have you eating tons of food and like lifting tons of weight. We'll put some muscle on you, but being a rock climber is crazy. So
yeah, nobody who's a rock climber wins strongman competitions, not because they're strong, but because they can't pull that up a mountain.
Yeah, you got to pull your own weight, not a bus.
Yeah, you're not bringing an Atlas stone up the mountain. You are the Atlas stone.
I don't know. Wrestlers have a similar kind of thing, but that's because of the weight class stuff. Like they have that kind of crazy strength too, where it's like they're like way stronger for what their size is half the time.
Yeah.
For like Greco-Roman like high school and college wrestling, not
Yeah, no, those guys are like that's that ape strength.
yeah.
It's like you can easily misjudge. Like that guy doesn't look like really tough, and then you realize, oh, he could just snap a 2x4 over because he's trying to push another guy as strong as him into some type of submission, and it's like, oh wow.
um. So yeah, Gabe and Hal arrive on the scene, and the robbers just immediately grab them and hold them up by gunpoint, which it'd be confusing. He's like, I thought we were here to save people. What's going on?
Yeah.
Eric asks where the chopper is, and they're told like, yeah, the weather is too hazardous for flight, so that makes him angry. And so then yeah, now Eric is pulling them in to go find the cases of money with their climbing skills, because we see like like the computer map of it, and there's like 2 on one peak, and then there's a third one on a different peak, which I don't know if any of these peaks are supposed to be the same one from the opening of the movie or not. Do you know?
I don't know exactly. I don't know. They're never really clear about where they are. They
Yeah.
name landmarks and things, but I
Yeah.
couldn't find anything that correlates to that.
Yeah. That's maybe the poor thing this movie does. Like, I don't know where I am at any time. I just know I'm on the mountain, so that's good enough, I guess. So,
Because sometimes it looks like the dead of winter, and sometimes it looks like spring.
yeah.
I guess that's because the movie took that long to shoot. Like, oh, okay, that's what's going on there.
So yeah, now they're moving to one of the first cases, and then Jesse's.
Or no, it didn't actually take that long to shoot. They had to do pickup scenes.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
it was done much later, and it's like, oh, that's why everything's green all of a sudden.
They're moving to the first case. Jesse's calling in, but they're not responding to her. But she's not too freaked out, because like apparently there could be just random communication issues here, I guess, because there's a storm rolling in. So they take Gabe's jacket off and tie a rope to him as compliance, because they want him to climb the mountain to get the case. There's also like an overhang of snow that's about to fall on them, so that's like a concern. Gabe gets the case and he breaks it open and sees the money. And then the robbers, for some reason, immediately try to kill Gabe by like shooting at him, and they try to tug on the rope to just pull him off the mountain, and then he cuts the rope tether, and then they start shooting at Gabe with bullets and a grenade launcher, because they just happen to have a grenade launcher too. So.
Which you think anyone with an IQ above 70 would be like, let's not fire exploding eggs into the shelf of snow that could fall. But no, you got to blast away.
So yeah, this guy creates an avalanche. He gets hit by the avalanche and killed. So out of the robber group, that's the one who did the problem that suffered the consequences. And then Gabe throws the case in with the avalanche, and then so because they see the money flying around, they think Gabe is dead, which I didn't realize that's what he was doing. So, but I guess it makes some sense. So, Jesse thinks something is weird is going on, so she makes plans to go out. We cut to Hal's taking the robbers to the next case, and Gabe continues up the mountain with no coat. We cut to Jesse gets dropped off of the mountain by Frank, and she makes her way to a lodge they talk about, because when they did let him speak on the radio, he mentioned a lodge, but then they cut off real quick. Then we cut to Gabe shows up to the lodge where Jesse is, and he's trying to warm up and explain what the hell is going on, which would be a shock to her too. It's like, wait, people are robbing the mountain? Like, what's and they don't know 2 planes just crashed either, right?
No, they don't seem to be aware of that.
Okay. And also Jesse just says her radio's out because it's cold, so whatever. I guess they explained it away, so why not?
Yeah, the radio got froze, she said. Which if you do let those batteries freeze, they won't work. I've had it happen on a phone once. I left it in the car for like an hour. It's like, yeah, it won't work. I just plug it in and charge it, and it was fine.
We cut to it's night. Jesse and Gabe go out and find a case and a transponder. And then the robbers find a transponder like stuck in a snowman's mouth, and an empty case with one of the notes that says "Want to trade." And then one of the robbers puts on night vision. They go looking for Gabe and Jesse, and he spots them, chases after them, starts firing at them. Gabe pots a flare, and it like gives the guy eye pain, which this I don't. This is just a Hollywood trope that if you have night vision goggles on and something goes bright, like it somehow like physically alters your eyes, like it's getting giving you a migraine.
The receivers and the night vision, that's not gonna transfer into energy that will shoot lasers into your head. I almost thought at first like he stuck the flare in his face.
Yeah,
physically touched him like that. Yeah, that'd make you freak out.
But no,
this was night vision. Like this is like again, this was very like early '90s concept of night vision where it's clear. Yeah. There's depth. It tells you the temperature conveniently you're heading, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't actually do any of that, but yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, they wrestle and slide down a hill, and then Gabe, and Gabe's even like as they're sliding, they slide like a really long time. He's like presses his head against the snow.
He's using this guy as a sled at some point. And yeah, the snow like starts to burn his face, beat his face away.
Yeah, just from the friction. Yeah. And then Gabe jumps off the guy, and then he has his ice axe, which he like keeps from falling off the edge, and then that guy just falls to his death into the darkness. So we hear him screaming and falling. So he's he's good and dead. So
yeah, we know he's dead.
And then the robbers bicker amongst each other once again, thinking like, I should kill you. It's like, no, I should kill you. It's like, aren't we all in it for the money? But you wonder how this is going to work out. So it's like, because it kind of make it seem like this is a team that's been together forever, but then how disposable everyone is. Like this has to be the first time everyone's met each other. So it's like,
it kind of makes sense though that like these are the people that would gather around a guy like Quaylen.
Yeah,
because it's like, yeah, only crazy. This is like the Joker's henchmen.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like, only lunatics are gonna get in this guy's orbit because everyone else would take one look at that and be like, no, this guy's not gonna be the one.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't make sense for Travers because, like, if he's going to steal that money, then he's got to basically leave the country. And it's like, he doesn't seem like a guy who would, like, any country he could run to, he'd have, like, yeah, this is great.
Where are you from? I'm from France. It's like, you're not going to blend in.
We get a quick interlude with the Rackle dudes. They talk about MTV and some other garbage, just here for no reason. Just remind them that they exist, and they'll show up later on. The robbers hang out at the lodge. Gabe and Jesse sleep elsewhere. Gabe and Jesse sleep by a fire made of money, which that's pretty funny. So
yeah,
because they're burning like $60 million worth of money. So
yeah, he even makes a comment like it's really expensive to heat this place.
Yeah. Which that seems like that was probably Sylvester Stallone line. Yeah. But then he what do you call that? He waffles on it, and his next line he says, "Bad humor, I know." So it's like, no, that's a good joke. We cut to it's morning. Hal and the robbers are moving along. They come across the radical guys, and the robber kills one of the guys. And the other guy runs away, and he's putting on his parachute, and he jumps off the cliff. He pulls the parachute, and he lands in some trees. He doesn't seem dead, but they talk like he is. Later on, I guess he did take a shot, so that's what we figured out later on. But I wasn't sure why everybody thought he was dead. So
yeah.
They come across a bridge, and there's more like descent with the Eric and Travers, where like you keep insinuating like we should kill each other. So it's like, no, we can't. Then we got to Gabe and Jesse have to crawl up this hole inside the mountain that has like water rushing down it. Which is, again, none of this makes any sense because like you're looking up at the hole, but then they climb to seemingly like 5 different places in between. It's like, I don't think that's the same place, but whatever. So it doesn't matter. They do come across like bats, and then they're scared by the bats, and they get they scare the bats, and then they get surrounded as they're flying out of the hole, and they take some bites for whatever reason from the bats, and then it's all over, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you guys better be careful. You're gonna get COVID. Hang on. Cave.
We cut to Frank is doing some recon with the rescue chopper, looking for people. She has like a thermal like camera underneath the helicopter. So he sees some thermal imaging down below, and so he lands a chopper to look into that. And we see some wolves find Evan, the base jumper, and then Frank lands a chopper to go look for him. Frank shows up and shoots off his gun to scare the wolves, and then he cuts Evan down. So we establish this guy has a gun and a knife. So,
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing, man, did Frank take this guy back to like like home base?
He had to.
Okay.
Because otherwise he'd just be in the helicopter the
Yeah,
whole
and he's not, so that's what I was thinking. Like, okay.
He died. When he died, the smoke explodes later. It's like, oh man, forgot about Evan.
We cut to Hal crosses the bridge. Then we cut to the FBI and Treasury agents show up with a helicopter looking for the downed Treasury jet. Then we have Kenyette. He's like looking around for Gabe, and then he holds up Gabe as he like comes up through the snow, which he wasn't expecting him there, but he finds him there anyways. As he's hearing them, like talk underneath him. So he wants the money he took, and he tells him he burnt it, but he doesn't believe that, even though that's exactly what happened. So, and I'm guessing the deal was off because they did leave him a note like want to trade, and then they burnt the money, so they have nothing to trade now. So, but these guys would have just killed them if they.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's all just meeting these guys as death. So might as well just set up an ambush.
Gabe slashes Kenyette's leg with like his ice axe, and then drops down in the hole. And then Kenyette's like shooting at Gabe, but misses. Kenyette radios in and then goes after Gabe. He gets ambushed by Jesse, but then he gets the upper hand and just started beating the crap out of both of them. Kenyette starts beating down Gabe. He gets his knuckle duster knife out, which is pretty cool. But then
looks homemade almost.
Yeah,
it has a charm to it. It's like, did you make that yourself and kill your first person? We're assuming these guys are all like special forces, or whatever. Because this guy seems to know some kind of like serious like fighting style.
Yeah.
But he's also fighting like a rock climber, which you'd assume, well, as we find out, it's like, well, that guy's going to just beat you to death. Gets a hold of you.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, somehow gets a hold of him. He puts him in a gorilla press and then just presses him up into a stalactite and kills him.
Yeah.
And somehow Kenyette never like tries to stab him this whole time, but whatever. So
yeah, it seems weird. It seemed like Gabe could overpower that guy pretty handily, but
yeah. I mean, they're probably an equal weight because Kenyette's a lot taller than him, but
that's true.
More agile. But I mean, this is an interesting death to have happen. Just push him up into a spike in the ceiling. So
well, I think this is one of the few Sylvester Stallone movies he doesn't use firearms on anybody.
Huh? Okay.
Just kind of an interesting thing in his character. It's like he would use what he knows.
Yeah.
Because the one time his girlfriend gets a hold of a gun, it's that MAC-10. And she's like aiming it shakily and about to fire, and it's like click, and he's like, "No bullets, bitch." It's like people wouldn't know anything about weapons like that.
Yeah.
They're mountain climbers. They just will be like, "Oh, this end's the dangerous end." It's like, I have no idea that. And also, a MAC-10 fires from an open bolt, so it would be back all the time. So really, no one would know. But they didn't get into that.
Yeah, no. Eric sets an explosive, and then Hal grabs a radio to warn Gabe about the explosive. Then we come back to Jesse and Gabe grab some old rope to rappel down, and then they use it to try to swing around the mountain to get away from the explosive. And then
it's really cool scene.
Yeah. The rope frays and breaks, and then we have Gabe grabs Jesse before she falls, and then she's able to pull herself up from Gabe grabbing onto her, and they get her up to safety.
Which is what they wanted to happen with the woman in the opening scene.
Yes.
But see, she's an experienced mountain climber.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like a spider monkey. I don't have the upper body strength.
But it's like, a good thing to like have have the character like live a moment and now have it successfully happened, and then being that they're like a couple or were a couple, then like the stakes are a bit more. So Because he didn't hate Sarah, but that wasn't his girlfriend. So this is. Um, the explosive goes off. Gabe and Jesse just kind of hide in a crevice as like snow and rocks, shower down. Frank shows up with the helicopter and goes to provide assistance because they have like the pilot lady like lay down. uh,
Crystal,
yeah, Crystal.
British actor. I remember her from one other role. She was Oscar Schindler's real wife in the
Okay.
Schindler's List movie.
Yeah.
Because remember, the rule was I don't ever want to be introduced as anyone but Mrs. Schindler from because he had so many girlfriends.
Yeah.
Go to all these hotels and somebody would and one of the maitre d's was like, will a guest be joining you? And he's like, yes, this is my wife, Mrs. Schindler. And of course she looks at him like, oh, I know what you've been doing. And so all his girlfriends get sent away. She was like, I will only be Mrs. Schindler from now on. But she does help him throughout the movie too, but he was such a philanderer.
Yeah.
And just it was crazy. It's like, no, this is my wife now. Everyone be cool, this is my wife.
Yeah, Frank goes to roll her over, and then she grabs his gun, and then he stands up, and then they shoot Frank dead, and I'm like, I hope they can fly a helicopter, because even like, somebody's like, no, don't shoot him, and I presume it was because he's a helicopter pilot, but then there's like two more people that can fly a helicopter presumably, so I don't know, like, no, don't shoot him or whatever, but.
Well, I think the pilot lady, Crystal is her name. I think she actually wasn't totally evil.
Yeah.
She was kind of in a relationship with Quaylen, so therefore she didn't even either want to see what he was or thought she would be immune to him. Like, he wouldn't kill me. I'm his lover.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, because psychopaths don't have any friends.
And also there's the weird scene where like Quaylen and another guy are like holding him down with a gun to his head, and he's like screaming like, Frank, no. And then they let him go as like Frank is dying, and he holds Frank as he dies, but then he takes Frank's knife off of him.
Yeah.
So like that's a good like, hey, well, we established this as a thing he has, and then we take it off him, and only he knows it. So it's like let's have that be in the end Act 2, because so Frank died. He didn't need to die. He never hurt nobody. That's what Hal said. So we have Act 3. Gabe crosses a bridge and hits a tripwire, and then he runs back as the bridge blows up.
Yeah, I don't understand that timed tripwire.
Yeah.
No, it instantly goes off and kills them, which was the plan. But it wouldn't be as much fun.
I mean, I guess if they didn't notice the tripwire and that let them walk further across to blow up, I don't know. But why don't you just tripwire in the middle of it? So, yeah, it doesn't make it's just movie stuff. So.
It's tension building.
So yeah, there's not enough fuel for the chopper to go like find the money and then like escape. So there's some bickering again about what they can do with the helicopter. Travers and Eric bicker again about who's more useful and who can be killed. And then Richard like knows the code to the tracker as Quaylen looks into it and is like, "What is it?" And he's like, "I'm not telling you. You're gonna kill me if you know it." So. Then Eric, here's where we have the crazy thing where Eric kills Crystal, insisting he's the only one who can now fly the helicopter. That's where it's like, oh, that's a crazy, like, terrible death, because she trusted him and implicitly, and he betrayed her because there's money.
And there was actually no need for him to do that.
Yeah,
because everyone was on his side except Travers.
Yeah.
It's not like Travers was going to kill him and they wouldn't kill him. So it's kind of like, it just establishes like this guy's truly a psycho.
Yeah. And just, point blank with the Desert Eagle to the back. So.
Yeah. Which is like, that would be dangerous.
Yeah, he accidentally kills Travers too.
Or he gets, gets some kind of compression injury on his own body. We cut to Gabe finds the last case and starts grabbing the money and putting it in a bag. Then he notices like a rabbit hole, and then they cut away. Travers gets close to the case, and then he insists Hal can be killed now. So then the henchman, instead of just killing Hal, like beats him up and starts talking about like how he used to be like a
like a soccer player.
Striker. He
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
striker.
And yeah, then he's just using some bunch of like soccer terms as he beats him up, which is like, this is what must have been what I did really well in Europe, so or overseas. So
Well, that actor's name is Craig Fairbrass, and
okay,
he has been in a lot of different things.
okay,
Mainly, yeah, a lot of UK stuff, but a lot of really popular UK stuff.
okay,
He's one of those guys. He's just like a hooligan like guy.
okay,
He does that kind of. He plays, the British gangster,
yeah,
the guy who's like really good with his hands and feet, and he's really big and scary. There's a couple British guys that they do that role very well, and he's one of them.
okay.
I'm trying to think of the other guy, but I can't. But yeah, he was in a couple. I forget who the other guy that does it, but yeah, the first place I saw him was
Snatch,
Snatch and people
because
like that.
yeah, he was like a rugby player.
Yeah, no, that's not this guy. This guy, I think this guy actually was a soccer player.
Are you thinking of Vinnie Jones?
Vinnie Jones, yeah. This is another Vinnie Jones type guy. They've probably been in movies together.
Yeah, probably.
Because they seem to be those kind of guys.
Yeah, I can't remember if Vinnie Jones. I think he was a rugby player because he was just a big, thick guy. But he could have. But all those European people also play soccer, so who knows?
Yeah.
The henchman kicks him off the side of the mountain, and Hal's hanging on while the henchman's like steps on his hand with his foot, and then he stabs the guy in the leg with the knife that we've established, and he like grabs the shotgun off of him and then like shoots the henchman off the mountain with the shotgun.
Yeah.
So now he's got a shotgun. Then we cut to Richard sees the body fall and he thinks it's Hal and is like, "I told you to be silent." So which again, I don't know why it matters, but whatever. Just have another thing to have Travers be angry about. It's like nobody wants to listen to me.
Respect my authority. I'm a treasury agent.
He goes looking for the tracker, but it keeps moving, and then Travers finds the transporter attached to a rabbit as it runs around, and then Travers shoots at it, but doesn't kill the rabbit even. So
this was a reshoot.
Oh, okay.
The rabbit gets blown to bits in the original version.
Okay.
And audiences hated it. Reshot it so the wreck. Because if you notice, you never see the rabbit and Travers in the same scene again after he does the first fusillade of gunfire at it. So yeah, they just had to reshoot the rabbit hopping around.
Okay.
Because it was supposed to make Travers even more hateful. Like he killed the bunny with the machine. Yeah. What a psycho. But audiences really did not like that. So they're like, okay, we'll go. I think that was when Stallone had to start putting his own money into it for some of those reshoots. Because I think he had $3 or $4 million of his own money in this.
Okay.
Because Korolko did not have the money to really make this movie, so they brought in other people to fund it, and then they almost, because of the agreements of bringing in other people, they made almost no money.
Okay.
After this, they went bankrupt. So it's like the people that released Terminator 2 Judgment Day went bankrupt 4 years later. Yeah. So that's weird Hollywood business for you.
With Rennie Harlan.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess I should have made sense. So yeah, because we talked about it before with. Oh, what was their pirate movie? Now I can't even remember.
Cutthroat Island.
Cutthroat Island, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is where we basically have Travers does a plot dump all over the walkie, and then Eric Quaylen's like, "They can hear us. Like, don't do that."
Stop talking, you idiot.
He's like mentioned everyone's specific name and exactly what they're doing and how everything went wrong. It's like, which you think is like, oh, this is going to be used in a court of law, but like, no, they're just all going to be dead by the end of this, so it doesn't matter. But I guess, you get this where you get like, where you get Travers, like, he wasn't respected at the agency and, spent 20 years there for nothing. So that's why he's doing that. So that's the only, like, backstory we get really with why Travers did this in the first place. So, see, it's a respect issue.
But it comes down to respect.
Yeah, the FBI's chopper's still like on their way there. So, we cut to Eric gets in the rescue chopper. Richard sees Gabe and chases and fires after him. Gabe runs and jumps down the edge of the mountain, which is like a big slow mo rain and like snow scene, and he does a big jump and then falls down. And then we cut to Jesse waves down the rescue chopper and sees that it isn't Frank, which somehow you know somehow Eric lands the helicopter, gets her to come in, and then handcuffs her and takes off again. So
Well, I like how he's holding a gun on her while the helicopter's flying.
yeah,
It's like, wait a minute, your hand's not on the rudder. How is that? It takes 2 hands and 2 feet to fly a helicopter.
yeah.
It's like, okay, cool, whatever. Are you the Terminator? And remember, because the Terminator in Terminator 2 had to grow a 3rd hand out of his chest to fire the machine gun out of that. Is Quaylen also mimetic alloy? How's he flying that helicopter that way? He's doing it with his knees.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the good old dad, driving on the highway, driving the knees while eating, So, and they come back to Richard chases a blood trail on an old wooden bridge, and then Cabe tries to jump up and pull him underneath the bridge, and then they end up like on this frozen lake that's like on the mountain, which I suppose would be a thing, but it's just kind of weird here.
This whole thing looks like a level in Super Mario Brothers. I just wanted to hear like Super Mario's music while they were fighting because it totally looks like a set, and it totally looks out of place with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is weird. So I'm like, dun, 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 dun. It's like, what's gonna happen? Somebody get a mushroom and get really big.
But yeah, there ends up being a hole in the lake here, in the frozen lake, and then Gabe falls in, and then Richard spots him under the lake and goes to try to shoot him, but then Gabe suddenly has his spike gun and he kills Richard or Travers with it, and then Travers just falls dead in the lake in a different hole. And then Hal's running up, and then he's able to get Gabe out of the lake, so he saves him there. There's another, it's almost like they've reconciled. So
Reconciliation.
Yeah.
Hey, we just hung a lot of bodies on ourselves. Now we're even with God because we just killed a lot of people.
We get Quaylen calls in. Gabe says he's lost, but then Eric reveals he's holding Jesse hostage. He tells him to go to some mountain peak somewhere, which I didn't understand it, but I guess they do. So
yeah, she understood it, and Frank understood it, or Gabe understood it. So just take Quaylen there.
So he goes over the helicopter. Gabe stands there with a bag of money. There's like a anchored ladder on the side of the mountain here, which I don't know if it's old or new. Like the top of it looks old, the bottom of a part looks new. I don't know what's going on here, but because I thought this was like, oh, is this one of the bridges they blew up? But no, this seems to be an intentional ladder attached to this mountain here. So, so he wants Quaylen to land the chopper nearby. So Quaylen goes out there. Does he get throw her a key or something? She just uncuffs herself, and then
he gives her the handcuff key.
Okay, and then she goes down the rescue winch thing. So he doesn't land the chopper. And then he's supposed to put the money on the winch to give it back to Eric, so he can just fly off or whatever. So Gabe keeps goading Quaylen to come get closer with the chopper to him. And when he gets close enough, he just throws the money into the chopper blades.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Because, it has him, he destroys all the money. Which it isn't the end of the chopper, but it does make the chopper, very hard to control at the moment. And even Quaylen, as he's trying to get control of the chopper, is also trying to kill Gabe with the blades on the chopper. So
yeah, he's swinging the tail rotor around at him.
Yeah, and he even aims down at it sometimes too. But and in the midst of this, he's able to grab the winch line and he attaches it to this ladder that's anchored to the side of the mountain here. And then yeah, Gabe gets control, and this is where he kind of like aims down and tries to hit him with the top of the rotor, and that's when Gabe has to just jump off and like grab the ladder as he's falling down 10 feet, so not dislocate both shoulders somehow.
Yeah.
So,
He's got his shoulders welded into his...
um, but then the ladder is pulled off the mountain by being the chopper's attached to it now. So then the chopper falls. The chopper falls and lands against the mountain wall upside down, and but doesn't blow up. And this looks almost exactly like how when the chopper hits in the Matrix. So I don't know if that's they're doing the same thing or, I mean, completely different results, but because the explode that's one of the cool scenes in cinema history is that chopper exploding and like how the almost like a wave effect to the as the glass explodes, and then we cut to Trinity like flying at glass, and then like it's like this just cacophony of glass flying out in a circle. Yeah, that just reminded me of that there. So,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Gabe falls down on the chopper, and then Eric grabs him, and they have a fight on top of the chopper. Which like you said, like you know,
John Lithgow looks like an adult attacking the chopper. Top of that back of that helicopter.
Yeah, he's not fitter than him. He's just bigger than him.
Yeah.
You just gotta throw your body weight around, man. That's how you win. So, oh, who was it? Yeah, Gabe fights him on the chopper, but then he just at some point he kicks Quaylen back into the chopper, like seating area or whatever.
Quaylen's grappling, and Quaylen's just ready to die. He's just gonna pull him off the edge with him. He's like, "Are you ready to die?"
But Gabe's able to like kick him away, and then he just kind of like jumps and grabs on the mountain with bare hands, and then eventually like everything gives way, and then the chopper falls to the ground and explodes, and we get
Quaylen's inside the chopper.
Yeah, Quaylen dies screaming as he watches that. Which is very reminiscent of last week. At the well, I guess he didn't die screaming at that point; he just blows up. But it's good to blow up. So yeah, Hal and Jesse get a rope down to Gabe, and they pull him up, and then the FBI chopper shows up, and they communicate saying like, "Hey, we're gonna arrange for transport," and then credits like over, but it's still over like the aerial footage of them on the mountain. So like, but yeah, that's the end of the movie. That's Cliffhanger. So, it's a good action movie. It's a very well trodden, well executed script. The good characters are relatable. The bad guys are cartoonish. So, but it's a Rennie Harlan movie, so you gotta expect some cartoonish nature to pop up somewhere. So, but yeah, you can see why this was a huge movie. So,
oh yeah, it's a fun movie. It was it was one of the best decisions that Sylvester Stallone made in the '90s.
Yeah.
So that worked out good.
Yeah, what did he do after this? Assassins?
Did he do Demolition Man after this?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Which that was another huge movie. So.
Yeah, well, that was like, I don't think it made dollar for dollar as much as this did in terms of what it cost. I think this was like his biggest dollar for dollar movie in the '90s.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he did Demolition Man the same year this came out.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what you can. Yeah, when you're an actor, you can do that. So.
Oh no, Demolition Man was actually, this movie was $70 million. Demolition Man was $77 million.
Okay.
But I know Demolition Man had a lot more advertising behind it.
Yeah.
And then after that, he did The Specialist, which that's the one where it's like him and Sharon Stone.
Right. Yeah.
Doing something, and then I don't remember that. And then Judge Dredd, the '95 Judge Dredd, which was like a cool movie to look at, but not to watch. And then it was Assassins,
which is I remember being an incredibly dumb movie, but like they're great in a dumb movie. Like Antonio Banderas, like this is it's weird because like Antonio Banderas is definitely cooler, and this is like post Desperado, and it's like you like Antonio Banderas even though he's the bad guy in the movie. So, um, yeah, I remember Daylight wasn't very good, and then Copland was kind of him coming back, like trying to do like a serious role again. So
I remember he did a movie called Daylight, which was like reminded me of this in a certain way. Different director,
yeah,
but it was like what if the Holland Tunnel collapsed
yeah, yeah,
and he was like saving people? That was kind of an interesting movie, and it was only I think it was only 3 or 4 years after this.
yeah. No, it was like I just remember like I don't know. I just remember not liking that movie for some reason.
No, it wasn't
It
as
was like
good.
interesting concept, but then like it just wasn't executed well. So,
Yeah, you thought it was like gonna
or maybe
be
it was just more. That was around that time where like when movies were really ruthless, like, oh, we're gonna kill a bunch of people that you like to show like the danger of the movie. And it's like, no, but I like these people. Why are you killing them? And like it really doesn't. And in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. It's like they're not gonna make a sequel to this movie, so yeah, kill them. Like show the danger. So
What was his last Rennie Harlan movie? I think it was Driven.
yeah,
Other
yeah,
F1 movie.
that was a bad movie.
Yeah. It's too bad it had a cool scene in it with quarters or something.
Yeah, they had something about like picking up the quarters with the heated tires, and then that was kind of like the only good scene in the movie. So
And then yeah, it was kind of another dark time for Stallone until Rambo in 2008. Well, Rocky Balboa and Rambo. Uh and then he started doing like I think he did Rambo. I think there was a Rambo movie like 2 years ago.
yeah, it was Rambo: Last Blood.
Yeah, it was fighting the cartel.
Yeah, yeah, and he had the whole Expendable series and the Weird Escape Plan series, which seems to I think one came out in theaters, and I think the rest are like direct to video.
Yeah.
And then he was in the Creed movies, which he was good in those. I think he got. Oh, maybe he didn't. I thought he got like a best supporting actor nomination for Creed. Maybe I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he didn't win. So,
Remember he was in Guardians of the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie too.
yeah, he was like the king of the pirates or something like that.
Yeah.
But and he's got that like new like what Tulsa something where he's like
Tulsa King,
where he's like a 70-year-old
mobster.
yeah getting out of jail. Fucking 20-year-olds.
I remember like he kind of hooks up with a crew or it's like a crew he creates
Yeah.
because he's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And
Yeah.
he's like but it's like a non-binary chick and people who talk about safe spaces but they sell drugs. And into like the third episode, like they're killing people. Do you feel safe now? And she's like, oh yeah. His like ancient criminal ways are empowering the mentally ill youth of today. If you start murdering people, it's like I feel alive. Yeah, I've seen a few. I think I watched part of the first season. Like you could watch it for free. It's like this is sort of interesting.
Well, it's Cine and Probe Mistakes contain the supercut of scenes from the imperfect collection of the movies that make up the Verhoeven Effect. Nathan, what one scene from Cliffhanger are we shoving into space?
Well, you have to send the Ace Ventura scene.
Okay.
Describes everything about what you're about to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, the opening 7 minutes of the movie cleanly and clearly establish the characters, their motivation, and who they are, and that they're not bad people. They're good people in that situation.
Yep.
That are going to have psychopaths rain down from the sky on American currency. Then somehow everyone will be killed, except not all the good guys.
You can find us a Letterboxd username VHE, and I did update this, and it's been a long time doing it because I was almost a year behind on our movies.
Uh-oh.
But I was able to use the power. So, like, when we do this when our movies go on to YouTube, like, it does, like, an AI transcript of our stuff, and I was able to search the term, like, 1 out of 5 stars, and then find what you gave it for everyone. So.
Oh, okay.
So 1 out of 5 stars. What are we giving Cliffhanger?
Oh, we're giving this one a 5.
Really?
'Cause
Okay. All right.
it's exactly what it says it is.
Okay.
From the first scene, you know what you're getting, and it doesn't. The quality, it just rides a beam all the way through.
I guess it is interesting because cliffhanger is like a Hollywood term for how you end like a TV show where somebody's
Yes.
hanging off a cliff, and then you turn that into a title of a movie, and then the people literally are climbing cliffs. So I guess it all works out. So.
Yeah, it's very exact. It's very precise. It's very, hey, I am what I am. And it is exactly that. And it pays. It's one of the few movies that like as advertised.
Yeah.
It's exactly. It's Sylvester Stallone. It's called Cliffhanger. There's crazy scenes in it. That there's a lot of weird composite and what do they call that? Force projection and stuff like that. But also Sylvester Stallone not a fan of heights either. Some of that stuff they wanted to maybe film it differently, and he's like, no, I got veto on. I'm not actually hanging off. And I respect that. It's like, yeah, I'm not doing
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Tom Cruise did the opposite because he like free climbed that mountain in Mission Impossible 2, and he just like literally did that. And so
yeah.
But he does that crazy stuff because he doesn't
Yeah.
care if he dies. Because if he does, like, well, I'll be immortal then. I'm the guy who died making art. So
He died living.
You can't catch these Thetans.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he's got all that stuff too. Yeah.
Or however that works. Or I don't have Thetans.
Yeah, I'm Satan free. I don't know. I don't even understand the religions you're supposed to know things about. Well, I studied the wrong things in them. It's like, what are the weirdest, sexiest parts of the Bible? I'm now an expert. But the stuff you're supposed to learn, it's like, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I don't even know about people's made up stuff. It's like, wow.
Well, you can find us at verhoeveneffect.com. There we have listener support. You can support us a monthly site on our 99 cents, $4.99, $9.99, and cancel anytime. You can rate our podcast on whatever platform of choice. You can rate us for one. The only thing the algorithm listens to is the highest ratings. Remember, you must control the algorithm. Control the AI. Control the algorithm. They cannot operate without you. If you cannot prompt them. Anyways, just make them work in our favor, please. So.
Yes. Remember, this is the... what is this? The Japanese thing about fixing broken vases. It shows the underlying imperfections and makes it more beautiful. We are the underlying imperfection podcasting. So support us. Always make it perfect.
You can find us at Twitter at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Blue Sky Social at Verhoeven Effect. And you can find us at Facebook Verhoeven Effect. And you can find us on YouTube at American Greed Factory and watch both this and that show live and unedited. So for the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.